Picture this, a dimly lit gymnasium, the kind where the air smells of sweat and determination, where the echoes of grunts and the clanging of weights fill the space. A group of onlookers, soldiers, trainers, and curious bystanders lean forward, their eyes locked on the center of the room. 10 elite female commandos, each a masterpiece of strength and discipline, stand in a loose circle, their faces a mix of amusement and curiosity. Across from them, a lone figure adjusts his worn-out sneakers, his janitor's uniform still clinging to his frame, a mop leaning against the wall behind him. This is Daniel Hayes, a single dad, a janitor, a man who's never thrown a punch in his life, or so they think. The crowd whispers, some chuckling, others skeptical. Why is he here? Why would a man like him, with calloused hands from cleaning floors, agree to spar 10 of the military's fiercest warriors for fun? What happens next will leave jaws on the floor, hearts racing, and every single person in that room questioning everything they thought they knew about courage, strength, and the human spirit. Stick with me, because this story isn't just about a fight, it's about a man who rewrote his own destiny in front of a stunned crowd. And if this tale moves you, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more stories that'll grip your soul. Daniel Hayes wasn't supposed to be here. At 38, his life was a quiet rhythm of routine. Wake up at 4 a.m., make breakfast for his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, drop her off at school, and head to the military base where he worked as a janitor. His days were spent scrubbing floors, emptying trash cans, and dodging the occasional condescending glance from soldiers who saw him as just the help. But Daniel didn't mind. He had Lily, his reason for breathing, and every mop stroke, every late-night shift, was for her. His wife, Sarah, had passed away 5 years ago, leaving a hole in his heart and a promise to raise Lily to be strong, kind, and fearless. Money was tight, the apartment was small, and dreams, well, those were luxuries Daniel couldn't afford. Or so he thought. That morning, as he was cleaning the gymnasium, a group of commandos, a part of an elite all-female unit known as the Vipers, had been training nearby. They were legends on the base, tough, disciplined, and unbeatable in hand-to-hand combat. Daniel had seen them before, their movements precise, their confidence unshakable. He'd always kept his head down, blending into the background like a shadow. But today, something was different. Captain Elena Martinez, the Vipers' leader, had spotted him mopping near the training mats. Maybe it was boredom, maybe it was mischief, but she called out, "Hey, janitor, wanna spar with us?" Just for fun. The others laughed, expecting him to wave it off. Daniel froze, his grip tightening on the mop. He wasn't a fighter, he wasn't even athletic, but something in her tone, in the way the others snickered, sparked a fire he didn't know he had. He set the mop down, wiped his hands on his faded blue uniform, and said, "Sure, why not?" The gym went silent. Jaws dropped. A janitor, sparring with the Vipers? It was absurd, a joke. But Daniel's eyes were steady, his voice calm. He wasn't joking. The commandos exchanged glances, unsure whether to laugh or take him seriously. Elena, intrigued by his audacity, nodded. "All right, janitor, let's see what you've got. 10 of us, 1 of you. No rules, just don't cry when you lose." The crowd gathered, phones out, ready to capture what they assumed would be a humiliating spectacle. Daniel didn't flinch. He stepped onto the mat, his sneakers squeaking, his heart pounding. He wasn't doing this for himself. He was thinking of Lily, of the times she'd come home crying because kids at school called her the janitor's kid, of the nights he'd stayed up wondering if he was enough for her. This wasn't just a spar. This was a chance to show his daughter and himself that he could face anything, no matter how impossible it seemed. The first commando, a wiry woman named Riley, stepped forward. She was fast, her movements like a coiled spring. The crowd cheered as she lunged, expecting to take Daniel down in seconds. But Daniel moved awkwardly, yes, but with a surprising instinct. He ducked her strike, stumbling slightly but staying upright. The crowd gasped. Riley frowned, circling him again. She threw a jab, then a kick, but Daniel, fueled by something deeper than training, blocked with his forearm and sidestepped. He wasn't graceful, but he was stubborn. Riley's attacks grew fiercer, but Daniel kept moving, his breath heavy, his eyes locked on her. He wasn't fighting to win, he was fighting to endure. One by one, the other commandos joined in, testing him. They expected him to collapse, to beg for mercy. But Daniel didn't. He took hits, hard ones. His lip bled, his ribs ached, but he kept standing. The crowd's laughter turned to murmurs. Who was this guy? Why wasn't he quitting? By the time the 5th commando stepped up, Daniel was battered, his uniform torn, but his eyes burned with a quiet fire. He wasn't just a janitor anymore. He was something else, something no one could name. Elena watched, her amusement fading into curiosity, then respect. She'd seen men twice Daniel's size crumble under less, yet here he was, a single dad with no training, holding his own against her team. Not winning, but surviving. And that, she realized, was its own kind of victory. The sparring went on for nearly an hour, Daniel taking on each commando, his body screaming but his spirit unyielding. When a 10th commando, a powerhouse named Torres, stepped back after landing a bruising kick, Daniel was still standing. The gym was silent now, the crowd's mockery replaced by awe. Elena called it of, stepping forward. Enough, she said, her voice softer than before. What's your name? Daniel Hayes, he panted, wiping blood from his lip. Why'd you do it, Daniel? She asked. He looked at her, then at the crowd, and said, for my daughter. So she knows you don't have to be big to be brave. The room erupted in applause, soldiers and trainers clapping for a man they'd overlooked for years. Elena shook his hand, a rare smile breaking through. You're no janitor, Daniel. You're a warrior. Word of the Spar spread like wildfire across the base. By the next day, Daniel was a legend, and not for winning, but for daring to try. Soldiers who once ignored him nodded in respect as he mopped the halls. The Vipers invited him to train with them, not as a joke, but as an equal. But for Daniel, the real victory came that evening when he picked up Lily from school. She'd heard the Staria kids were already talking about her dad, the janitor who faced the Vipers. Her eyes shone with pride, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt like he was more than enough. He was her hero. That night, as he tucked her into bed, she whispered, Dad, you're the strongest person I know. He kissed her forehead, his heart full. The Spar wasn't about fighting, it was about showing Lilia and himself that courage isn't about muscles or titles. It's about standing up, even when the odds are impossible.